Hello, young professional. My name is Margaret. I'm the Associate Director of Current Capital Budgets at the Region of Niagara. What leadership means to me, it's funny how you started off, you said you're a leader, a manager. To me, the one thing leadership doesn't mean, it's not a position. Okay. So just because someone's a manager, a president, it doesn't make them a leader. And it's very interesting. I think sometimes that the word leadership, people use that when they want to impress someone. And that's really not what a leader is. To me, a leader is someone who can inspire and motivate others to achieve goals and even to achieve things beyond their own expectations. I think leadership style is really dependent a lot of times on the situation. So I guess if you want to call what kind of leader I think I am, maybe I'd say a bit more of a situational leader, in that depending on what are the factors that are influencing you is how you have to actually lead. So some of it can actually be very directive. This is the deadlines, this is what we need to get done. And a lot of times that can work for transactional type of work that needs to be done. But when you're in a period of change, a lot of times you look for someone who is more a transformational leader. And on the transformational leader side is when you really look to motivate people, because as we all know, change management is huge. People have various approaches to change, and people change at different paces. You have people who resist change and people who are actually early adopters. So you need to be able to inspire people to help them get through that change process.
But I really think it's the people that work for you. They're the ones who decide if you're a leader or not. It's not about the end state, and it's not about the goals, but it's how you actually achieve those goals. There's a lot of talk about emotional intelligence, and I really strongly believe that emotional intelligence is something that a leader needs to have. So emotional intelligence is really all about self-awareness, self-regulation, having the ability to motivate, and being empathetic. And I think a lot of that comes through by the fact that you're very sincere with people. So you genuinely care about them, you care about their goals and what they're trying to aspire, not only in their work life, but in their personal life. So I think that's really important, and those are some of the characteristics of a true leader. And I guess the one thing I would challenge the young professionals is you can do anything you want to do. Absolutely anything you want to do. It's how you go about it. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm not a manager. I don't have people that work for me. Well, I've always said, even in our role here in corporate services, we don't have authority over the departments. The only thing that we can do is we influence them to change. And that's really holds true for the young professionals. It's all about how you can influence others, and it's influencing your boss when you're making recommendations. The other thing is about stepping up, taking a chance, and taking responsibility for things. We talk a lot about taking initiative, but it's also the little things in life as well that you stand up and you say, wow, I noticed there's a recycling push on this week. You know what? I'm going to start and recycle my coffee cups. And someone else sees that you're doing it, and it just helps to build that momentum. That's a leader. And those are the little things that you can do to help show that, you're going to be tomorrow's leaders. You're here today and tomorrow's leaders. I guess the other thing with the young professionals is the fact that you're willing to learn. A lot of you are taking on additional responsibilities. You're furthering your education. Those are all critical elements of a leader as well. It's so important to believe in lifelong learning. And it's funny because last night I was reading a book, and it's about stepping up. And there's a quote in here, and the quote is from John Quincy Adams. And this is really about what I started off our discussion with, the fact that leadership is not a position. It's not that you're a manager, that you're a leader. And John Quincy Adams, the quote is, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And that's exactly what I see coming out of the young professionals these days.
My name is Melanie Steele, and I am the Manager of Financial Reporting for the Niagara Region. I think what I would say leadership is to me, it's really about setting a common goal and a vision. I think everybody in today's world, we're all doing so many different things, and it's very fast paced, and everybody's got a lot of different things on their plate. And I think in order to really lead an organization or a department or a team, or even yourself, it's about understanding what it is we're trying to achieve and getting everybody to understand that point. Because at the end of the day, especially in municipal government, where so many of our services are service-based, it's all being driven by people. And so we need to get people aligned, and we need to be able to influence people, and we need to be able to communicate what it is we're trying to achieve. And I've found in my experience that when we're dealing with difficult situations, if you can get people aligned on the bigger picture and what we're trying to do, it makes some of those challenges or disagreements a little bit easier, because you can reference back to some of that bigger picture, and it tends to be a little more success. Sometimes I think it's very important to be very directive and understand what you want the end goal to be, but sometimes I think it's important to be consultative and get a lot of input from different people. And so I think that you really need to take a look at what it is you're trying to achieve, who you need to influence, and what the best way to get to your end goal is. And that's typically how I try to address most of the challenges that I'm faced with on a day-to-day basis. It's really important for me to build relationships and to take the time out of my day to make sure that I know a little bit about something about everybody in my department or people I'm working with, and try to understand where they're coming from and what motivates them. And I think that in order to be a real good leader, you have to have people believe in you and believe in what you're doing and want to work hard for you. And I think building those relationships is the way to achieve that. The second piece, I think, is open and honest communication. Maybe to a detriment sometimes, I think it's really important to be honest with people. And at the end of the day, I think if you're reasonable, even though some situations are difficult, then it might not be the answer people want to hear. If you're honest about it, and if you're thoughtful about how you present your arguments, and just be realistic with people, I think they respect you more, and you're more aligned in getting to your end goal. So, and the last one, I think, is what served me very well, is to try to lead by example. I don't believe in not getting your feet, your arms, rolling up your sleeves and getting involved. I think it's really important that even though you might be a leader and you might have a lot of different things, that when it's required, you dive in and you do some of the work. And I think your team, the people that you're leading, appreciate that when you can, when they see that everybody's vested and we're all working towards the same goal. So I think it's important to be hardworking and demonstrate the qualities that you're hoping the team will demonstrate.
My name is Chris McQueen, and I'm the Acting Director of Financial Management and Planning. I think leadership means a lot of things. I think leadership is about respect. It's about gaining respect of others and also having respect for other people. I think it's about having a vision and being able to plan around a vision or getting to an outcome or a vision that you have. It's about teamwork and team building. So it's about being able to, build the right team around projects and things that need to be done, and also building that team and providing them with the tools and resources that they need. I think leadership's also about credibility and expertise. So I think in order to be a leader, you have to be recognized by your peers as having, the right skills, the right expertise, education, credentials, whatever that might be, to do it. And I think I'm a leader in development. I'm not as old as I look, so I really think my leadership development is still very much in a growth area. I've always, done professional development things, and I've always worked in different roles in the organization where growth and development have been a big part of my job, and I think it's about supporting other people to grow and develop. So leading is always about, I think, growth, and I think that's the kind of leader that I am. I think in terms of sort of the young professionals is being able to see what those qualities are in people that are true leadership qualities. So leadership qualities are not necessarily about the person with the highest ranking position in an organization or the highest paid person or the person with the most letters at the end of their name. I think you'll find people who are leaders will have, a different set of qualities around respect, around team building, around creativity and innovation that are probably much more principle-based qualities in people, and I think those are the leaders that people respect. I did a 360-degree evaluation just a couple of years ago, and I think that was an opportunity, because you'll find a lot of opportunities as you're young professionals, especially, you're going through, you're having performance appraisals and you're asking people for feedback as part of your designation. You have to do some peer review and those sort of things as you move along, and I think being confident enough to do like a 360-degree evaluation where you're going to get feedback from peers and other people on things that are, constructive feedback, things that people see as strengths in you, really provide you with some insight. And my advice is to, take those opportunities, because it's not always easy to get feedback from other people, especially constructive things. But they are important things to acknowledge.
My name is Debbie Elliott, and my current position is Acting Commissioner of Corporate Services with the Niagara Region. First and foremost, it means that it's a person that others follow willingly for whatever cause that might be. Somebody that others follow because there's something about that person, there's something about that cause that they are interested in, and they feel that person can help them get there. Leadership is also utilizing your own characteristics to the best of your ability, and relating to people, I think is what it really means to me. So myself, I started realizing the type of person I was and not going to fight the way that I was, and I started applying those characteristics and seeing what worked for me. I'm a very open person. I like to have fun. I like to connect with people, and those are the types of behaviors that I brought into my leadership role. Also, for people starting out is building a set of principles about yourself, and that builds up over time as well. And I've got a number of them that I rely upon when I'm in situations, and some of them are: if you can't take the high road, take the high road. And if you're making decisions, you always have to take that higher course and not default to that, sometimes the desire to take the less. So the other principle that I tend to make sure I follow is, if I'm going to make a decision, it's got to be for the greater good. It can't just be for my own personal benefit. It has to, if it benefits me, wonderful. But it really has to benefit the people that are being impacted most by that decision. And the other thing is no surprises. As a leader, nobody likes to be surprised or be caught off guard. I don't like it myself. I make sure that my boss is informed about things that might be a surprise, and give that individual a chance to figure things out. Same thing with my staff. Nobody likes to be surprised and figure things out in a tense moment. If you have an opportunity to make sure that you tell people about things, give them a chance to figure it out. So those are a couple of principles I suggest anyone try to build upon your leadership profile and your leadership principles in yourself. And when you get to those tough moments, you have 3 or 4 to rely on all the time. It just becomes you. You can't be somebody else. As you're going through university right now, even undertaking some of the things that you're doing now, you're figuring out about yourself. Just make sure you conscientiously understand it. And because it is a purposeful career in being a leader. And I think as well, take some risks. My home job right now is a director of human resources, and I have a division of about 40 people. The CAO came to me and offered me this opportunity as an acting role for commissioner. I now have 5 divisions, and I'm up to over 200 people. So sometimes you just have to take risks and take opportunities when they present themselves with a little bit of caution. You don't want to do something that you know you're going to fail at, but you've got to take a few risks as well. So take some calculated risks. And so when something like this comes your way at some point in your career, you'll be ready for it.
I'm Pigeau. I work at the Niagara Region and the manager of accounting. For me, a leader is someone who can, organize a group of people to achieve a common goal. I think a leader has to have certain traits. One of them being good relationship skills, another one good communication skills, and I don't know if this last but not least, but able to lead by example, so to provide example to go. I think I'm a different leader depending on the situation. Sometimes I can be more democratic, in which I ask for people's input in helping make a decision, knowing ultimately I have to make the final decision. Also can be task oriented when required, so if we need to get things done and we need to get done right away, just assign tasks. Throughout my whole career, what I've done is I've asked a lot of questions, both with my peers and people I've worked for. I've always sought feedback from my managers, and I've had the opportunity to get into more leadership roles quickly because of circumstances I've encountered throughout my career. I've been able to work with very senior people in organizations, and at times, you feel like you don't know what's going on, but through asking questions and understanding that every day is a learning experience, you learn from your mistakes. I think it helps. Simple things like volunteer. I volunteer to do presentations, town hall presentations, and just getting feedback from the people that I work with, saying, how they go today, what can I work on. So those are the things I've done, but I think the number one thing that I've done throughout my whole career is I've identified people that are good leaders. It's really easy for me, I've identified people that I think are good leaders, and I look at what they do and say, well, what do I need to do? What are they doing differently? What makes them who they are and a good leader? And I try to take some of those traits and kind of make them my own.
My name is Pilon. I'm the Associate Director of Service Quality and Improvement with Region B. I try to be pretty easygoing. I try to inject a little life into everything that you do. I find it makes everything a little bit easier to deal with. So whether it's humor, whether it's listening, whether it's trying to understand other people, whether it's asking questions and worrying and caring and understanding where they're coming from with those things. And I think the other one is just always kind of walking a mile in someone else's shoes. So that's a big thing for me as you go forward, especially in the role that I'm in. It's a bit of a customer service agent for our department, so you're always dealing typically with people who have problems or issues and those kind of things. I mean, everything that you're going to accomplish, work, personal, otherwise, is all about relationships. And you have to attack that like you'd attack any other problem. And it's not about, pardon my French here, it's not about kissing ass, it's not about any of that stuff. It's about understanding there's relationships that are there. And same thing. Do the things, treat people the way that you think you'd like to be in that situation as well too. I'm pretty easygoing, so it probably makes it easier as well too. I try to, as you say, bring some humor into the workplace, make it a little lighthearted, enjoy it, but I put a big value on that. So people's ability to get work done is significantly impacted by your ability to work with other people to get to your goal. A single-minded, I know what I want to do and I'm going to get there, you realize really early on in your career that your ability to get there is always going to be dependent on a whole bunch of other people on the side who can get you there. And it doesn't matter how great your idea is, doesn't matter how hard of a worker you are, doesn't matter how smart you are. If you can't get other people to work with you and align with that goal and understand it, and want to be in the same place, it's not going to make it. You're applying for a position in financial reporting. My assumption is that everybody who applies is probably going to have a degree, is probably going to have some work experience in some way, dealing with that, varying degrees of work experience. They're all going to have references of people telling them that they do good work. It's going to be your ability to impact the other things that make the difference there, and that you decide what that is and how you make that work. But it served me well in my time in terms of those relationships and understanding and being able to work, and they're all kind of all the other things. I think just trust in yourself and go out and experience it. I mean, that's, if I had to say one thing, it's the word I gave you, serendipity. Try stuff and without knowing what you're going to learn from it. Just try it and don't be afraid to do it. I mean, I never would have envisioned myself in this spot here. I just ended up with the first job that I had at a university. I ended up having my firstborn child wasn't a wonderfully planned setup. I didn't have a white picket fence and any of that stuff. I was actually still in university, if you can believe it. So you just kind of take what life throws at you and you try to make the best of it and learn as you go along. I mean, I don't have anything exciting that's gonna turn it from there, but that's it. If you keep waiting for a time where you think, oh, absolutely, I'm perfectly set and fine and ready for the next, challenge and adventure that we're gonna throw, I mean, you'll just never be sure of that. It'll never be there. There's always a level of risk involved, and just go. Nothing worldly. Sorry, I should have had better. I don't.
One of the other things with that is,
Adam, walk by, baby, love. Okay, so pause it.
No, I'm the director.
I have to ask my questions before you pause it.
Oh, yeah?
Chris is printing his cheat sheet.
I gotcha. Leadership is around knowing that nothing's in a state of a static piece, you know.
Oh, I forgot you gotta cut.
No, cut.
Wait till I don't have this huge grin on my face. Because you're gonna have to stop here and there because I can't,
Oh, no, I'm
And
not.
at the end of the day, what kind of leader do you think you are?
to me. Okay, then you can cut that.
Today we're talking about leadership in hockey games.
No, we're not talking about hockey games. Come on now, stop. We have problems if that's what we're going to talk about. Big problems.
Okay, so basically, I'll be asking questions, and you can talk to me to make it look more natural. The camera
okay, so
is
don't look at the
gonna.
camera because then that freaks people out when I just kind of look at the camera and pretend as if I'm
Who's
talking to the
that
camera and say,
guy?
hi, how are you?
Oh.
Well, that's a fantastic question. Let me answer that for you. That freaks you out? That kind of stuff gets a little freaky? Okay, I understand.
No
Okay,
comment.
I won't do that. I promise.
No,
not to do that.
you can look into the camera. It's fine.
No, okay, just do my hair.
Oh,
Do my hair. Good?
my goodness.
We're good?
I'm
Okay.
thinking maybe we should get everyone to sign a disclaimer saying that this is our property now, so we have the
I
right
won't sign it. I won't sign it.
What is our property?
I won't
This
do it.
video is our property.
I'm not doing it. I want to actually be able to edit this afterwards, okay? Okay, that's fine. So we can. Do you want to do the interview in French? We can do that. T'en veux faire? No?
No,
Pas en
merci
français? Non?
beaucoup.
Ok. On peut faire. C'est un Ok, c'est bon. Allons-y.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
Prochaine question. To be honest, I think if I have to think back, I maybe even failed grade 12 math. So,
Oh,